2018 Subaru Outback. Electronic brakes on the back. So there's a procedure. All I did was I activated the parking brake and then deactivated the parking brake. Hopefully that does the job. I don't believe my scan tool will put this into service mode, but I did take the key fob and put it far enough away from the car it shouldn't glitch. So let's get after it. We already got it jacked up. We gotta get our tires off. $19mm. This car has 88,000 miles on it, and this is its very first brake job. We're doing front and rear brakes on this car. Very first brake job. Alright, there's a connector in here you got to unplug. It's down here. You got to take that off before you do anything else. If I can figure out how to get the connector off. There's a push and pull. Doesn't look like it. Let me see what we got here. It is a push and pull. I just didn't push hard enough. Alright, cable's disconnected. We're going to try to do this without having to take the parking brake motor off. Alright, we got a couple caps we got to pop loose with a flat screwdriver, and then we can get in there, find out what size of bit this is going to take to get them calipers off. We also are going to need our brake tool, so I'll go grab that. I'll be right back. Alright, we got what we need to get the job done. Let's see if we can get the job done. Alright, so as I already did, I took the clip off the bottom of the electronic brake, which is what you're supposed to do. The only thing I didn't grab was my S-hook off the toolbox, but pop our little clip out. Here's your little plastic clip right there. That little cover right there comes out. You got one down here too. And then we take our finger and we feel around in there and see what it feels like. It's an H7, everybody. Pretty confident in that. Yep, like a glove. It's an H7. And we'll take this caliper loose for the first time in its entire life. Alright, and we'll get this bottom one broke loose. And then we'll go ahead and we'll zip that out with our zipper here. We're going to make sure we lube these pins up before we put them back together, because that's what you're supposed to do. Try not to chew up these original Subaru bolts. I'm going to take this apart. Alright, and then we'll take our screwdriver. We'll kind of stick it in here a little bit, and we'll kind of pull it back a little bit, get some of the pressure off of it. Now we need to take these off first. It's best to take them off now than to take them off later and have problems. Your new brake pads should have those in it. If it doesn't, you can use the old ones. Alright, let's go ahead and see if we can get our caliper off. Maybe. I gotta get that upper bolt wants to kind of sit in there a little bit. We gotta make sure we push that bolt back as far as we can get it so we don't damage it. Alright. Get off of there. Ow. Boy, this thing just wants to be difficult. All right, so here's the point of contention that a lot of people have with these, okay? If you have a scan tool that can factory set this into maintenance mode, what it will do is it'll turn this motor to where this parking brake locks all the way to the back. If you don't, there is a way that you can take, oops, sorry about that. You can take these two bolts out, take this motor off, and then manually move it back. I don't like doing that sort of thing because things get broke doing that. But if you feel brave enough you want to do that, I guess you could do it. The problem that they have is this is one of them turnstile type calipers, and the parking brake prohibits that from going back all the way. So, but like I said already, I cycled the parking brake prior to doing this, so I'm hoping that that'll be enough where we can push this caliper back so we can put this together. Show you our handy dandy little tool here. This little pad buffer here goes on first. I gotta roll this back. The way this goes on, it goes on like this. Fold it on the back like that. And then that will stick up on the inside of the caliper. And then you want to find the tool with the two nubs on it that are close representing what you're going after. So this is a small one, so we'll go with either a 3 or a 4. Oh, 3 is too small. Let's try a 4. 4 is too small. Let's jump up to 7. Here's a 7. And you're trying to get it lined up inside these tabs right here. And that's not going to do it. Let's see if a 6 is it. 6 for some reason is much bigger than the other ones. And it fits pretty good. So then you're going to stick your tool like this on your driver here. And slide your tool up inside there like that, and then you're going to screw down until you engage the locks. And once you engage the locks, you just twist. You twist the, well, you're supposed to be able to, I might have to lock this in a little bit better. Alright, got it locked in place. So now we can go ahead and rotate our caliper. Just like this. See that? I was pushing it right in there. And you got to make sure as you do it though, you got to keep this backing plate tightened up here. So you're going to kind of do it like this. Well, look at that. Just that easy, folks. Just that easy. Everybody on the YouTube that are working on these brakes, it's just that easy, folks. You just put it together. You don't even have to take this apart. You don't need a scan tool. Just that easy. All right, so then once we got that done, we'll roll this back. The reason you want to disengage the power supply to it is because this system has a sensor in it that when it notices any type of voltage malfunction, like this motor right here being turned, it will try to counter that, and you could lose a hand just off of this alone. So let me go grab a hook for this. Let me go grab a hook for this, and then we will attempt to get our rotor off, and then we will mark our rotor, and then I got to tear the other side down and take them over and get them turned. So I'll be right back. Okay, got my hooks around here somewhere. I think I left them on the table. 1 minute. All right, let's hang this caliper real quick. All right, let's hang you up over here in the back, out of the way. Okay, now you want to take note of something here. Your back pad has a spring on it. Make sure that when you get your new pads, when you go to put your pad on, that the spring is intact. See, we need brakes. That's why we're doing this today. He literally has no brakes left on his vehicle. He does a lot of traveling, so 88,000 miles on a pair of brakes. I think that's pretty good. All right, and then we got some bolts back here we got to take out. Before we get too carried away with the way things are going here, we need to make sure that we've got some bolts that will fit inside this rotor. We also need to make sure, I don't think we need to worry about that. We're going to throw some Croil on here, because that thing's been pressed on there since 2018, so I'm getting my good old puller here out. I don't know if I have any bolts that small. We will find out in a minute. Yeah, that'll fit, but it's the wrong thread pitch. That would fit, but it's the wrong thread pitch. Let's see if this one fits. Not very well. So I'll tell you what we have to do here. Yeah, here we go. There's one right there. See if I have another one like that in here. I'm hoping I do. And I do, right here. It's almost like I planned this job, but I didn't. I promise I didn't. So then you take these bolts and you feed these bolts through. And then we're going to use our, we're going to spray some Croil around here after we get these top and bottom bolts out. I think they're going to be, I don't know. Let me go grab a couple sockets I'm going to try out. I'll be right with you. Stand by. All right, now we got to get the bolts out of the caliper bracket. I got this, you'll see what that's for in a minute. And I got this, you'll see what that's for right now. Let this thing just sit and soak a minute while we get this part done. And it is a 14mm socket. See if we can get these broke loose real quick. Ah! Lord in heaven. That thing was on there a little bit. Messed up my ratchet. Yeah. Ah! They did not want this to come off, I guess. Once you break those free, you can get this out. If I had a small impact that worked really good, I'd have broke it loose with that. And it had a little bit of Loctite on it, not a lot though. So we can't say that's the reason why it was giving us grief. And we'll take our other bolt out. And we're going to see if we can get this caliper off, or this rotor off. Take it over to the bench and mic it out. Here's your bracket. I'll set your bracket over to the side. All right, now this is one of those calipers you have to break loose. And I don't know if I have the right size for that. I probably don't. I think those are 13mm. So let me go grab a 13mm real quick. And we'll try to get that off of there. Should come off pretty easily since it's never been off before. All right, let's see if we can get this off of here. And then we'll go to the bench and we'll measure this out. Then I got to take the other side apart, which I'm not going to show because it's the same way we did it here. And get these turned. So you get your bolt, and you get it down in here like this. You see it's breaking the seal loose. So you want to get up here and you want to do the same thing on the top. Hold it by hand, and then just kind of just rock it back like this until the rotor comes off. Now all you're doing is just holding the rotor from spinning by hand, so you want to just have light pressure, and that is all there is to it. Take your 2 bolts out, set your bolts over here, and your rotor comes off, and that's just about as easy as it gets. So we're going to go to the bench. Oh, on most rotors they will have the minimum thickness or the discard stamped into either the front face or the back face of the rotor. If it doesn't, this one does not, we can go to service data, find out what our measurements are. So I will meet you back at the bench with some information. We'll measure this out, and then we're going to show you what the marker's for. So be right with you in just a minute. All right, we are at the bench. Our discard is 0.591. That's going to be in inches for some reason. Service information should have given it in millimeters, but we'll check it both ways. Nominal is 0.669, so we have between 669 and 0.591 amount of play on the back. So we're going to get our gauge out here and then turn it on. We're going to put it on inches first because that's what the spec is called for. Zero your gauge out. You're going to measure it in 4 locations. You're going to start with the first one being the very top. And it says 0.660. And then you're going to take it and you're going to move it 45 degrees to the next location where it says 0.662. And then we're going to rotate it 45 degrees, do it again. 662. Rotate it another 45 degrees, and then you'll have your full discard, your full area. 661. Okay. So 0.661 inches. Let's see if we can get it to zero down to 661 inches, and then I will show you what it shows. All right, that's 661 inches, right? So if you want to know the millimeters, 16.8 millimeters, okay? Our discard is 0.591 inches, so this rotor is turnable. So we can write on here 0.661. We're going to write it on the back side because, well, actually we can't write it on the back side. We'll write it on the front face here, 0.661. All right, that way I know. Of course, I'll wipe that off before I'm done. And then what the marker's actually for is because we're doing both sides at the same time, we don't want to get the rotors mixed up. So we're going to write a D on the front of that rotor. That tells me it came off the driver's side. And then on the passenger side, I'll write a P on it, and that'll be passenger side. See, that's how we do that. So since you've seen this part of it, I'm going to just repeat the process on the other side, get these turned, and then I'll bring you back and we will install the back brakes, and then we'll start on the front brakes. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, we went ahead and got our rotors turned. So here's our driver rotor. We're going to get that put on there. This is your part number for your pads. Okay, usually you're going to go through and do a lot of cleanup if there's a lot of cleanup to be done. This one's fairly clean, so let me get down in here. You want to go ahead and spray your rotors off with some brake clean before we get started, so that's what we're going to start with. There's There's a couple marks that we made with our screws, so you want to make sure that you get those lined up if you can. If not, that's fine, because you know, you don't necessarily have to line up. See that? Clean it right off. And then we'll take our rotor. Also, if you have a lot of rust jacking around here, if you're a northern states driver and you got a lot of rust jacking around that center hub, you want to grab a what is known as a conical wire wheel. You might have seen me use one on the channel before. And you want to clean that up real good around that center hub. And then you want to do the same thing around the center of this rotor too. So don't worry about it fitting in all the way. It'll press back in as the car's driven. So next step, let's clean off our rotor here. Get all the brake dust off. We got our caliper bracket. We need to clean that off. All right, and we mount that back on. Okay. That mounts on just like this. It goes on the back side of the spindle. Get your top bolt in. These bolts are made in such a fashion that as you move it up and down, you don't have to be looking at it. You can tell exactly where it drops into. So you'll hear it click like that. When you hear that noise, you know you got it right. We don't have to tighten these to kingdom come. We just got to snug them. If you want to put some blue Loctite on the threads, you can do that. I believe some vehicles, that's a requirement. This one, I don't think service information said anything about thread locker. But if you're a Subaru guy and you've done this before and you're trying to find an easier way to do it and you use thread locker, put it down in the comments so that everybody else can learn from everyone that's done this before. This is my first attempt at Subaru brakes, because usually I don't get Subarus. I get Toyotas, I get Hondas, I get Kias, I get Hyundais on occasion. Not very many do I get that are Subaru. So, of course, you take a wire brush and you clean this out in here, but we did a quick spritz with the brake clean. Because this is where your pads sit, you want to get some grease on it. Try not to get the grease on the caliper bracket, or try not to get grease on the rotor. This stuff is not that hard to get off, but it's just as a general rule, you don't want to get this grease on anywhere you don't want it to be. So what I do is I start in the front, I'll pull back, because then you can stick your brush right about where it needs to be. And if you rotate it and you do have like what we have here, take your hand or a rag or something, wipe it off. You also want to put some grease on the tabs here on your caliper. What this does, this is lubrication. Put some on your piston while you're here. This will quit the squeaking noise, because some cars, they squeak terrible. Take your pin out, put some grease on your pin. These slide pins, they have to be greased. There's no way about it. You have to grease your slide pins. If you don't grease your slide pins, they will seize up, and then your caliper will start to wear uneven, and then you get problems with your brakes because they won't release all the way. So I don't think I explained it in another video, but I'm going to tell you the reason why we do the rotor thing. So you have two options. You can either get your rotor turned, and most auto part stores now provide that service to you. You can roll lock wheel it like I've done, where you get a roll lock disc and you just spin the rotor and then you just go over it with a roll lock disc till the shiny disappears. or you can buy new rotors. But you do not want to just put pads on it. That is known as a pad slap. Pad slaps are very dangerous, because what happens is you have two smooth surfaces. Your pads, when they're brand new, they have to have something to bite into. So in order for that to happen, there's your spring. You have to give it something to bite into. If you don't, then when you go to hit the brake, your brake rotor will get warm, your pads will get warm, but you won't stop because there's no grab on your pads. So for that to happen, you gotta grind on your rotors, okay? That's why I mic them out, because I wanna see if there's enough surface there for you to be able to get the job done. Okay. I have not forgotten the spring. In case there's somebody in the comments about to say he forgot the spring, back it up, because I have not forgot the spring. Okay? I have not forgot the spring. There is a process to this. You put the spring on at the end. You don't put it on at the beginning. Just like you get this caliper to tighten up before you do anything else. There's a process to this, because I'm going to tell you what, you Mercury Mariner and Ford Escape owners might know this one, because they have that spring on the front of theirs. You try to put that spring on before you put the caliper on, it ain't going to work, because you're going to fight that spring. Ford Escort owners, I remember on my Escort, it's got that spring. You guys also know this technique. You want to put the spring on after the caliper's on the vehicle. Because if you don't, you try to put it on beforehand, you're going to be fighting that spring. So, last thing you want to do is fight that spring. See, it comes with springs. This kit has all the hardware in it. So we'll go ahead and we'll open this up. And if it feels good to you to measure or match it up to the original spring, it's the same thing. So this spring goes like this. You want to push your tabs in like this, and then you want to lock one side down while you get the other side in place. And you want to try to get this to go down just like this. Push it in by hand. Make sure the spring is set right in the center where it was before. And you're done. Oh, no, you're not done. Hook your electric parking brake back up. Now you're done. And that's it for back brakes. I got to do the other side. Then if there's enough light, we'll go ahead and we'll film the front brakes. If not, front brakes on Subarus are just like every other vehicle. Nothing special about it. Any questions or anything, go ahead and comment down below. And we'll see you on the next one, if the next one happens to be front brakes or something else. We'll see you then. Oh, by the way, make sure that you torque your wheel to 88.5 foot-pounds. When you go to put this on, they're aluminum alloy, so you want to make sure that they stay nice and tight. Don't go any more than 88.5. If you want to do 88 even, go ahead and do that, but don't go any more than that. And we'll see you on the next one. We forgot to put our caps back in real quick, so let's find our caps. They should be nearby. I didn't take them too far away. Let's see, we got to find our two caps that we took out at the beginning of the video, which are right there. And after you got your caliper bolts back in, you want to go ahead and slide these back in, that way that your bolts don't get ruined. Let's see. And then now you're done. Make sure everything that came off goes back on. Yep, so that'll do it. We'll see you on the next one.